Okay, so this is day 2. Today is Monday, 17th August 2026. So far, I know all the names of the keys. And yeah, and today's lesson is the posture. And yeah.
Lesson 2. And in this lesson, I'm going to teach you about posture. I'm going to give you some finger exercises and just continue laying down the basics to get you started on the piano. So, when it comes to posture, this is a very overlooked thing with beginners. So, posture, there's a couple things that you need to keep in mind. The first thing is your body's posture. So you want to keep your feet generally flat on the ground. You want to keep your shoulders relaxed. You want to keep your elbow also relaxed. And probably the most important thing is keep your wrist relaxed, but in a specific shape. So for example, when you're playing from last lesson, you could be playing it like, and you want to avoid that. You want to keep your wrist much higher. But don't do it so high that it's kind of strange, right? So you want to kind of envision that you're holding a ball. Like if you held a tennis ball in your hand right now, your hand would make a certain shape. So your wrist is kind of relaxed, but slightly levitated in the air. But the most important thing is that you're not doing this, because this, like almost every single person I've ever taught has come in and started playing like that, right? And it's very important that you correct the bad habits at the start, because bad habits are much harder and takes a lot longer to undo in the future. So make sure that you have this kind of shape, just like that. So, you might find that when you're playing something that's uncomfortable to play, just because, it's difficult and you're still getting used to it, you're going to be tensing especially your shoulder, and very typically your dominant hand's shoulder, right? So if you're right-handed, it's going to be likely your right shoulder. So being aware of your tension is important, because you're going to have that a lot. Another thing is your fingers. Your fingers might be tense, because you're now asking your fingers to, mechanically play something that you've not done before. It's probably going to be uncomfortable, and you might have this tension in your fingers. So you might be playing this like, and you probably can't tell from my playing, but there's actually a lot of stress and tension in the actual tendons of the hand, and you want to avoid that. So the very first step is just to be aware of that in the first place. You want to try and be aware of tension in your body. Okay, that's just a principle that is a very, very, very good habit to have, especially to start. So we remember from last lesson that, I asked you to play on the right hand and this on the left hand. Now, I don't know what speed that you currently have it to, but if you have at that speed, you're doing, much, much better than expected. So the next step is to actually put them together. So you're going to go on, the right places, and you're just going to play one by one. And this might seem tricky and very strange, but that's because you're asking your brain to combine both halves, right? Because your right brain controls the left side of your body, and your left brain controls the right side of your body. And you're making new connections, and that's why it's going to take some time before you can become that confident. It doesn't take that long, but it does take a little bit of time. So be patient with yourself, and just take it step by step. Literally one note at a time. That slow. Literally that slow. It seems counterintuitive, because everybody wants to go really fast at the beginning, right? Like I was there. Everyone wants to go fast, because it sounds nice, it sounds cooler, makes us feel better that we're doing good. But just take it one by one. It's not about what it sounds like, it's about the brain changes that you're forming. So pause the video now and just try that. Okay, so you may have noticed that one or two things probably happened. Your timing is probably syncopated, which is the opposite of synchronized. So if that is the case, just take it even slower than whatever you just did. And if it helps, you can count to yourself, kind of like a beat, right? So you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So now you have something to actually keep you on beat. The other thing that probably happened is that you had some tension in your wrists, fingers, or you just generally might not have had great posture. If you did have good posture, then that's great. So remember that both wrists have to be in this, ideal position where it's kind of as if you're holding a ball, a tennis ball, or just like an umbrella shape with your hands. Now, don't be so, strict and to the dot about it. Don't be too harsh on yourself here. Don't, try and exactly keep your wrist exactly there, exactly for that right time. It's much less about, always doing the exact ideal posture, and it's more about avoiding the bad thing, right? So it's more important to me right now that you're not keeping your wrists too low or even too high. It's more about avoiding that than it is to exactly keep it in the ideal situation. Does that make sense? So just keep that in mind, and that's something that you're going to want to develop over time. The thing I said about shoulders is that you might find some tension in your shoulders as you're playing that. You want to just be aware of that tension and just relax the shoulders. As soon as you feel tension, relax it. When you feel tension in your fingers, relax your fingers a little bit more. If you think your wrists are too low because it feels, a bit strenuous, you want to also relax that. Bring it back up. One more thing I'm going to point out is that your elbows, you want to make sure that they're not kind of to the side like this. You probably can't tell with the camera view, but you don't want to have your elbows kind of like this, because you're going to be collapsing in the joint in your shoulder, and it's also going to cause you tension. So if you feel like tension is always there, it might be your elbow. So you want to just keep your elbow relaxed, kind of tucked, into your body in a natural position. So that's what you're aiming for in a relaxed sense. Now, you might feel that everything I'm saying here about posture, relaxation, awareness, and all of these different things is a bit over the top for such a simple exercise. And that's intentional. It's intentional for the exercise to be so simple, and I want your attention to actually be on your posture. Now, bear in mind, when I say simple, I don't mean exactly easy, because for most people, playing with two hands with such coordination is going to be a step. It is a simple task, but it might not be easy. Okay, so just be mindful of that. So the purpose of this lesson, to remind you, is to build in these foundations that you can remember and apply to every single time that you're practicing. So the next thing I'm going to ask you to do is kind of jump between the octaves when you're doing that same pattern. So let me show you. Just to remind you, an octave is that 8-note distance. It's the same note, but different pitch. So we have this little 5-finger pattern of, if I move that an octave up and an octave down, so that's what I want you to do. But what I definitely can say that will help you is focus on what you're going to be doing next rather than what you're doing right now. So you might be focusing on each note that you're playing at that moment, but you actually want to be thinking ahead what you're going to do. So once I'm at this stage, about to hit the C, I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking over here. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to move over there. And now I'm looking here. So you want to look ahead. So have a go at doing that. Take it as slow as possible. Slow enough that it's impossible for you to make a mistake. That's how slow I want you to take it. Then for your left hand, that's going to be your task. And then you just go back down. Take it, one hand at a time. And then if you're really feeling confident, you can do both hands. So I know that is a bit of a jump, but the key here is to take it step by step. Nothing's too hard if you take it in enough small, easy steps. Okay? Nothing is too difficult. Remember, I was in your exact position. I was still learning all of these basics. I have obviously never got to the stage I'm at right now without being in your position. But what you have to know right now is simply to be relaxed before you play. And this has a huge effect on your playing, your performance, your composing, your connecting with the music, connecting with listeners, all that stuff which I'm going to explain. But what you need to practice right now and make a habit of is to just take a deep breath in before you play. Okay, so and just relax your body. Sometimes we come on a piano and we're full of agitation and our body's very stressed, and you really want to calm that down. So all you have to do really is take a deep breath in before you start practicing, and take a nice long controlled breath out. Okay, that being said, have a go at those tasks that I said to you. Remember to keep the right posture, especially avoiding the wrong posture, being aware of tension in your body. And finally, before you practice results, take a deep breath in and out every time before you play until it is an unconscious habit. Okay, good luck, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Okay, welcome everybody to lesson 3. And in this lesson, I'm going to teach you all about chords. And I'm going to teach you the basics about, what are chords, melodies, harmonies. I'm going to show you what chords are, and I'm going to give you a very, very special technique that's going to allow you to construct